Samsung's latest partnership with Google means that you can actually enable Android Auto with Samsung SmartThings, and all you really have to do is make sure the app is updated, and then you'll find options inside of the settings with Samsung SmartThings. At that point, you're going to be able to control your security system with SmartThings, and you'll be able to run scenes from your vehicle. Now, on top of that, you're going to be able to set a few of these scenes to send you notices to run them when you're arriving or leaving. And this isn't all that Samsung and Google actually had for us around CES. They pulled their two ecosystems closer together than I think we've ever seen. Plus, Samsung released a number of devices that I think shift how we're going to look at Samsung and their SmartThings platform. It's a pretty big deal to have Samsung SmartThings in Android Auto, and while the experience isn't perfect, it was pretty good. Now, I have a Pixel 4 XL that I'm using with this, so it's not only limited to new Samsung phones like many people thought when the feature was announced, but it took about the first day before I started to get scenes executing correctly, and I still have some issues, and it seems to be related to just how long a scene is going to take to execute. When I've had more devices in my all lights off scene, well, that seems to never work, whereas my smaller or shorter scenes or routines, they seem to work just fine. But this isn't where the partnership ended, and actually, even as I walk through this point, that's not where the partnership ended. It just keeps going. Now, what happened here was the Nest integration dropped, and we knew this was coming for the Nest thermostats, the Nest cameras, and the Nest Hello Video doorbell. And no, it's not perfect. You're not getting the Nest Protects. You're not getting those Nest speakers like many of you were asking about. But with those devices, you can see that you have a number of triggers and a number of actions that you can take with those devices. You can also use the Nest cameras to view inside of the application, and you even get a number of charts to see the different things with those Nest cameras. But this isn't where the partnership ended, and throughout CES what we saw was the Nest thermostat kept showing up in Samsung's material. Actually, all of their CES related coverage seemed to include it. I think this was done on purpose, and I think it's meant to showcase how closely these two companies are going to continue to partner in order to battle with Apple and Amazon, which they definitely need to do. But what I remember vividly was in relation to a new service and a new product that Samsung was bringing out. I remember this dog getting a more comfortable environment based on the Nest thermostat and a number of other Samsung devices. That new service is called Samsung Pet Care, and there's more to it than I think initially was talked about, but what you're going to find is that it's only available initially in Korea, and then it will roll out to other countries. It sounds like the US will come in the first half of 2021, and then we'll see it roll out slowly to other countries as we do normally, and as you will have to expect within all of these different services and products that I'm talking about today. But while Pet Care is more than this, it essentially boils down to the ability to press a little button in Samsung SmartThings to say that your pet is home alone and to make it comfortable for them. Now, that was done with a number of devices, and that's where the Nest thermostat showed up, showed them kind of making it a nice cooler environment for the pet to be around in, turning on TVs, and we'll talk more about those TVs too. But there were a number of things that went on, and this included the new product. I think this is going to be a highly controversial device, and that's not just because of the number of people who instantly saw this product and said, I had a terrible experience with a Samsung vacuum, and there was a lot of you actually that came right at me and said, I'll never do it. But on top of that, I think the technology in this device moves it just a little bit further to something that you may or may not be ready for. See, this is a transition device, and what I mean by that is Samsung continues at CES to show us robots, personal companions, little devices that are meant to live with us on a daily basis and do things for us. It's no longer just a dream, and every year I notice Samsung gets closer and closer to a viable commercial product that they can put out, and Bot Handy was very close. Now, I think this is a very expensive device and there's probably not a big market for what it does versus what the cost will be, but we're getting closer, and that's where I say that the new service they unveiled, which was called Samsung Bot Care, plus these new robots, means that the JetBot 90 AI Plus, which I'm going to call JB from now on because nobody wants to say that name, that's where this is a transition device. Not only is JB a robot vacuum with LiDAR on it, it has 3D cameras that help it to recognize as it moves throughout your space what it should and shouldn't run over as a robot vacuum. But it was being showcased taking care of the animal as part of pet care. It was able to give you a live view of your animal, and it was able to analyze what the animal was doing and clean up after it. So this becomes much more of a companion device to your pets, but it's not much harder in terms of programming and in terms of managing a device like this to follow around a human. Now, with this all in mind, Samsung is talking about maintaining your home when you're not around, and I'm sure maintaining your home when you are around with that companion device. But they were also focused on the fact that all of us are stuck at home, or many of us are stuck at home for much more than we've ever been in our lives. And that's where they really thought about some of the features and the capabilities that came with their new TVs. These are the new, or the Neo QLED TVs, and while the specifications were actually absolutely incredible, the 8K TV resolution, plus you're thinking about the extra LEDs that they've managed to pack into these devices, the new gaming hub, and the fact that it's essentially a bezel-less display. Can I say bezel-less? Anyways, what impressed me more than those specifications was the experience, and that's what was focused on by Samsung, and actually in partnership with Google in one specific way. Google Duo is showing up on these new TVs. They have the camera embedded, and it's quite the experience. Now, on top of that, you have all of these other reasons to use this TV instead of other devices and to have it become more of a centerpiece. I look at the PC on TV capability and the fact that you can pair a mouse and a keyboard with the TV, and then that actually becomes your workstation. That's much more comfortable than many of our offices. And when I'm finally done editing this video, I'm done working for the day, I can call up the personal health trainer, which actually gives you live feedback based on your form. So no more bad form for me. I can actually get something done. But the thing I might be the most excited about is actually the quad view capability. Now, there's something to be explained here, because it's not like you can go and put 4 channels from the same cable box that's giving you a single HDMI output into your TV. No, that's not how this works. You need 4 separate sources. So in order to watch a couple of the games, well, you're going to need a couple of separate sources. Maybe your cable box sends out 2 tuners, or you can put on a game on YouTube or on a different live streaming service, and then your cable company. Now, I can't wait to try these features, and I can't wait for Samsung to send me one of their products, which they never have done once in the entire time. But that's a separate story. Every once in a while, you're going to have to eat something that you actually made, and as bad as that sounds, you can't always order from Skip the Dishes or another food delivery service. So when you finally decide to buckle down and make something for yourself, well, you can use this acquisition that Samsung made a few years ago and a new service that they're rolling out to really make this a seamless experience. So what Samsung had bought a while ago was something called Whisk, and that includes 4 grocery delivery services: Walmart, Kroger, Amazon Fresh and Instacart. Now, I've been using a couple of those services to get groceries during the pandemic here, and I really like using them. So this kind of fits in. But what I would need is a Samsung fridge with the family hub on it. And what that does is that helps you with meal planning on the front end. So it can look at what you already have in your home, in your fridge, and tell you what you have and what you could make with that. Then it can help you develop meal plans for the rest of the week or whatever time period you'd like, and then create that grocery list that goes to those vendors. All of that experience can be done with Samsung's Family Hub within the new SmartThings Cooking service. So that means I'm no longer going through the Instacart app, which is what I do today, and it takes me a long time, to be honest. So I really love the automation and the shortening of that time period. Now, what it then does is helps you with the preparation of the meals in terms of that display on the Family Hub there. Plus, it's going to allow you to set certain appliances like a Samsung connected oven when you're actually ready to make that meal. Now, I spent a solid 10 minutes trying to figure out how to pivot. So screw it. I'm not going to pivot to this next thing. Let's just talk about what was announced after CES. It was the Galaxy Unpacked event, and this meant that Samsung was bringing out all of their Galaxy branded devices, and the first one was the Galaxy Buds Pro. Now, I like the fact that they focused on sound quality and on a seamless experience as well as battery life, and all of that in combination makes them a pretty attractive device set, especially paired with their other new devices, which were the Galaxy S21, the S21 Plus, and of course the Ultra version of that. I think the first thing that many of us look at when we're thinking about purchasing a phone is the video camera and the photography capability, and they've been seriously upgraded. I like the new look of these devices. They're not trying to hide the fact that it's got an incredible amount of lenses on the back. Plus, they're 5G connected, all of these phones, and I love that they're ready for that future. They also have ultra wideband, which plays into something we're going to talk about in a second. But on top of that, maybe my favorite thing is just the integration with Google. So yeah, I get back to that whole Google thing. Now, Messages, which is the Google SMS application, becomes a native application. So it's not a workaround. You don't have to go and install an APK anymore. Plus, they actually will be the first devices to get an on-screen reader for accessibility. And I really like hearing the fact that Google will allow that kind of thing to go on, not just hold it to their vanilla Android Pixel devices. That ultra wideband capability that comes on those S21 phones is really important in conjunction with another product that Samsung put out that I think has some really interesting capabilities that put it beyond just what you might initially compare it to, which is a tile tag. See, tile tag is a very basic Bluetooth device, and there's some other features coming for some of those, but in the case of the Galaxy SmartTag and the Galaxy SmartTag Plus specifically, you're getting this ultra wideband capability, and that allows us to do something pretty special. So Samsung actually detailed the capability of using AR on your S21 phone to walk through your home, for example, and find your SmartTag, your Galaxy SmartTag Plus, because that's the one with the ultra wideband capability. But the other capability that would be available on both of these, I think, is just as interesting for those of us who've had SmartThings for a long time. And that's because I don't think the buttons in Samsung SmartThings have been really well handled for a long time. And these are the ones actually that were sold by Samsung. And the Galaxy SmartTags actually have the ability to have a button press on them. Now, we're not guaranteed that they are going to be able to replace everything your existing Zigbee buttons do with SmartThings, but we do know a few things. Number one, they are intended to work with SmartThings and SmartThings Find, as well as having a button that is expected to be able to trigger things for you. So that's a pretty exciting thing for me to think about, because it means Samsung's still going to give us that button product, and we're going to get more use out of it with the ability to find things that we need to. Now, other than Samsung, there were a ton of companies that just pushed the boundaries at CES and around that event. And actually, if you go check out the video that's up on screen, you're going to learn about a ton of products that did some incredible things that can actually change your life. They're not just these far-fetched devices. So go check that out. Otherwise, guys, thanks for watching today. And of course, don't hate, automate.